Wonderful.
Alright, we should be
That's good.
live now. Let's take a look. Sure would be embarrassing if we're not.
Yeah, you're live. What's going to be our John Milton's finale? Wonderful.
Ugh, I'm gonna tweet it out. We're gonna go. I mean, it should take us like, we're halfway through the revolt. We should be good. But yes, welcome back, Bobby. Um, Today we're gonna finally be finishing this game.
Yeah, finally.
When did we
But it's
start?
good. I think the first stream was about. Let's see. It was 3 months ago. Whoa.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't stream every weekend.
Mhm.
And ladies and gentlemen, and for those of you listening, if Bobby's voice sounds a little bit weird, that's because he has just returned from a very long trip to Vienna, and he is tired.
No, it's also because I'm on my phone.
Yeah, that's fair enough. But yeah, Bobby, I guess we're gonna continue.
Yeah,
And
let's go ahead.
you can see we're already right here. We're coming close to the end of the day.
Ooh,
The the rebel leader.
terrifying.
Yep. The sun is setting. The blood red sky quavers. Quavers. Haven't seen that
The
before.
blood red water.
The blood
I'm
red
sorry.
sky quavers
Ah, it's-
in the hot smoke from the fires raging throughout the city. You cannot help but recall a passage from the Lives of the Twins, one of the many pages Mother used to quote when you were a child. And the elder said, "Lo, I have cast a flame into the world, and I shall guard it until it begins to blaze." Could this passage be referring to today? You lead your followers to Empire Square. You walk around rubble, past abandoned carriages and unfinished barricades. There have clearly been clashes here recently. The dust of the departed is still rising into the sky. Thousands fill the square before the Chancellery, well over half the commoners of Anizate. The Chancellery has been under rebel control since noon. All Imperial officials either fled or were torn apart by the mob. Scraps of rumors and gossip reach your ears as you move closer. Did you hear what happened at the Great Tree? It's the Inquisitors. They just started slaughtering folks. They grabbed them swords of theirs and started killing unarmed people. Leonard's procession made it into the temple. There was a sign from the twins. All lies. The twins got angry and destroyed them all under the tree. The temple's gone, I tells you. Gone for good. The crowd is on edge. Any dispute could explode into a brawl. A voice from the Chancellery stairs calls for another people's court. The mob turns as one. Several last straw rebels drag a handful of well-dressed nobles out onto the steps and force them to their knees. The leader of the executioners is a preacher with a mane of unkempt hair and the wild eyes of a lunatic. The younger, he speaks through us, he does. He gave us the power of his law, the power to punish our enemies, to execute them. Anyone who stands in our way is an enemy of the twins themselves. People, it's time to judge these enemies of the simple folk. What is your sentence? The mob roars so loudly the square shakes. Death! True death! The last straw rebels ready their guns. One of the captive gets to his feet and speaks out defiantly. You dare call this prophetic freak show a people's court? You don't have the power. You never have and you never will. You think you can wield the law of the twins? Bah! We'll come back and we'll make you pay. The aged nobleman's last words are drowned out by a thunderous volley of gunfire. One by one, the nobles collapse, their bodies pierced by bullets. They remain where they fall. The mob gasps in amazement. There can be no doubt. The People's Court has the power to mete out true death at will. This is what will happen to anyone who dares to oppose us. All hail the revolt. All hail our leader. All hail Sophia. Sophia's gonna lead us. She's gonna fend off the Legion. She's gonna bring justice. First to Anizate, then to the whole empire. She's gonna tear down the old ways and wipe all them tyrants and nobles from the face of the world. The mob explodes into an ecstatic chant. They shout one word over and over again. Sophia! Sophia! The enormous throng bellows widely, eager to see the face of its leader.
Oh, what's happening to Sophia?
Hmm.
Let's see. So what are our options?
So we only have two. Although we could have taken control if we let Sophia died. Um, but we're not going to do that. Um, so if we do this, Sophia will just straight up lead the revolt. We do this, she'll lead the revolt, but like we'll have better stats. Like there's already gonna be like a massive fucking like let's take a look. Like yeah, like here you go.
Yeah, I think we're going together with Sophia, but it's going to be a little bit cringe because she's the one leading the charge.
Yeah.
It's going to be we're going full feminist on this playthrough.
So true.
Hmm. Has there been like a revolt led by a woman in like could you say that a queen, a particular queen, would maybe foment a revolt in another country? Has that ever happened? Maybe, maybe Queen Elizabeth II,
Of the well, I
right?
mean, no, Queen Elizabeth the First, man. Like, what do you think John D was? John D was the first. His call sign was literally 007. Like, British intelligence goes back to the Tudor period. John D was sent to Bohemia to kill the king of Bohemia, or the elected king of Bohemia, um, who is a von Wittelsbach. I forget his name, and in order to exacerbate the 30 Years' War. That's so yeah, Oh, then there's Queen Boudica, who also happened, but that was several, like even I think about 1,000 or so years before that. But no, yeah, I mean, queens have fomented revolts, but I don't know if it was so much the queen or the queen's government that did. Um, I I've started pulling the thread on some really weird opinions on British intelligence, Bobby. Um, the most schizo opinion I've come across is that actually Joseph Stalin was a British intelligence plant.
Yeah, you know who gave this schizo opinion? It's a
Russians
little
with
known person
attitude.
named Bobby. It's a little person named Bobby. I still have the Telegram message where I sent you that I said that maybe Stalin was an English agent because English people that learned Russian and can speak
Speak
it
with a Georgian
aptly.
accent.
Yeah,
Speak with.
they speak with a
I got
Georgian
this. I
accent.
got this from Russians with attitude, though. Like before I even
You
met
got it
you.
from me.
No, I
I have
didn't.
the.
I did not. I
What do
got
you
this from
mean?
when I was
When?
from
Yeah.
Russians with Attitude. I was listening to an episode of Russians with Attitude. I don't know if you know the podcast, but
Yeah, I know, but from when was that podcast?
January of 2022.
Yeah. Okay, so you did.
Yes,
I got
but
I
but
got the opinion after them.
but yeah, but this is a popular theory within schizo circles is that no one in supposedly Joseph Zugashvili's hometown even knew who he was or his family. Um, what is it? None of the Georgians said he looked like a Georgian. Some people say he even looked like an Indian. And like Bobby, the resident linguist, you understand that whenever an English speaker or a native English speaker learns Russian, they sound like they're from Georgia. I think
Yeah, like if you learn it at a high level, you still have those. Let me give you an example. So you have the sound, the vowel ya,
mm-hmm.
right? That's a vowel, and when you pronounce something, so like simya, for example, right? Here you have the little before this vowel ya, you have a little thing called the soft sign, which means that the s before ya has a little pause in it, and it like goes down. So you have семья, right? There's like a little pause
Mm-hmm.
before the M, not the S. What a retard, but whatever. Anyway, but if you eliminate this soft sign, you get семя, and семя means seed. But the thing is that if you the vowel ya in this case becomes so I guess so fragile, that when someone says it, usually or whatever, they still pronounce the ya like with a not like a thinner a, right, but a consonant and a vowel. There's a very very small difference, but it's very notable, And so they will pronounce semya, right, like either like sema, right, with like the a, or like the word for family, семья, right, mm, or like семья, right. You have the e little whatever. It's a small difference, but it makes you instantly notice it as a Russian. Um, and there's like those things, and dear Stalin would usually get attacked by these little sounds. They jump into his speeches like uh, what do you call the like javelins, like the javelin pigs. But yeah. Okay, next. Let's go ahead. Let's unite. Let's
Other,
unite around. Yeah.
yeah, we will unite around Sophia, but I'm just gonna say, Bobby, other pieces of evidence. Um, During the purges, when Stalin was closing various embassies, no one from the British embassy got targeted. The British embassy always stayed open. Um,
Mm.
and yeah. Anyway, there's a better outlines of it, but I believe that's true. And I could pull the threads on that, but we're not gonna. Instead, we're gonna pull the threads on girl boss Sophia. You make your way through the crowd and reach the Chancellor's stairs. You belong here by Sophia's side. The door of the Chancellor swings open, and Sophia emerges before thousands of people gathered in the square. Her silhouette seems to blaze in the light of the setting sun. She raises a clenched fist in the air, demanding silence. The enormous crowd ceases its murmuring at once. The voice of the leader of the revolt rings with frigid fury. People of Anizate, today is not only the day we took up arms and cast off our shackles. Today is the first day of a new era. We will begin by taking back our city. We will eliminate anyone who dares stand in our way. Then we will declare war against the old regime, against the entire empire. Upon hearing these words, even the most frantic rebels fall silent. A frightened murmur ripples through the crowd. Is Sophia asking them to take on the entire world? You exchange glances with Sophia and step forward. Surely the people do not think the empire will simply allow Anizate to remain free after hundreds of years of slavery and tyranny. The people of Anizate have already crossed the line. There is no turning back. Anyone who fights for the revolt today will go down in history as a hero. Today's spark will kindle tomorrow's fire, and that fire will spread until the entire empire burns to the ground. Our fear of the nobles and divine retribution is a thing of the past. Our future struggle lies in freedom. The people know you. You are Paul Brante, and you will fight for Sophia until the very end. The people cheer ecstatically. Sophia steps forward again, her eyes gleaming with yellow light. The crowd falls silent, wrapped with attention, the golden light reflected in thousands of eyes. Well said, Bronte. No mercy. Nobles, defenders of the old faith, the tyrants of the old regime, they will all be executed by the People's Court. Every single enemy of the Anizate revolt will be eliminated.
Oh, damn. Luckily, we are not nobles.
Luckily. Arm yourselves. Find and execute our enemies before the Legion reaches the city. And then when the bell tolls, go to the walls. We will unite the entire city and take our freedom by force. The people echo Sophia's cry. Artisans, merchants, peasants from the outskirts of Anizate, they all take up arms and join the ranks of the last straw. The rest form into gangs, ready to unleash their wrath against temples and noble houses alike. Sophia catches her breath after her rousing speech and grips you by the shoulder. I knew you'd be on my side when the time came, Paul, and we've got all the commoners on our side now, too. But we're short on time. I'll go hunt down the enemies inside the walls. I need to take charge of the People's Court. You should go defend the city from the Legion. You eagerly accept this assignment. As soon as A report soon arrives from the scouts at the gate. The Legion is only a few hours away. The final battle is drawing near. Will the outcome of the revolt be decided in combat, or is there a peaceful solution? It all depends on the actions you take in the coming hours.
Oh, what actions do we have? Let's see.
We'll take a look.
Damn, do we have like... Let's see.
While you are busy preparing, night falls over Anizate. The darkness brings disorder, lawlessness, and chaos. In the dark, madmen, robbers, and looters flood the city. These gangs have no interest in the fate of the Empire or the revolt. They see the uprising as a sign that the end of the world is nigh, and if the wrath of the gods is at hand, then everything is permitted. Upon hearing reports of gangs roaming the streets, you sense danger. What is to stop them from attacking your home? Your people may need you, but you will never abandon your family. Taking a squad of loyal men with you, you hurry to your home district. Your instinct proves to be correct. Even before reaching your street, you smell smoke. Sir Tibor's school is ablaze. The old man was hurled out a third-story window and impaled on the sharp spikes of the gate below. Ashes from dozens of burning books blanket the ground like black smoke. Thomas's old house lies in ruins. Breathless, you run up the street. Your men can barely keep up with you. You hope you're not too late. You round the last turn. There it is, the gate of your ancestral home. You see dozens of figures approaching by the light of the burning house. The thugs are close, too close. You run through the gate and into the house. Your men stay to guard outside. You hastily open the door. Your father's on the doorstep, sword in hand. He recognizes you and lets out a sigh of relief. It's you, Paul. I'm so glad you're here. The bastards have burned down half the district and they're on their way here. He is cut short. The living room windows shatter. A torch lands on the floor. You quickly stamp out the flames. A battle is in full swing in the front yard. A massive crowd is fiercely attacking your soldiers without any regard for their own safety. The looters are led by a ragged, half-naked old man clad in rags. Horrible scars on his wrists and ankles reveal his past as a convict. He yells frantically in your direction, his shrieks cutting through the din of the fray. The world is coming to an end. We've disobeyed the twins and they're punishing us. There ain't no punishment worse than this, so there ain't nothing to fear. These are our last hours. Do whatever you want. The crowd bellows in support of the old man. Your soldiers fall one after another beneath the onslaught of the rabid gang. The twins have damned us all. We've been damned for your sins, you filthy nobles, you false priests. But before we face our final judgment, we'll dole out a little punishment of our own. Hee hee hee. We'll take our revenge on you before we die. Our judgment cometh. The horde crushes your squad's resistance and approaches the house. The stomping of their feet shakes the windows. Your father looks at you in despair. They want to execute us. What do we do, son? Oh boy.
Oh shit. What a disaster, dude. Come on. What a horrible end. Is it going to be true death? Paul?
Oh, what would Milton do?
What is it? Is it true death? Oh, well, it's not the true death. Oh, but it's true death for fucking everyone.
No,
except you.
It's true death for us too.
Yeah. We're just going to die. We're going to flee. Man, that's fucking stupid. Really? Come on. We did all that just for them to die. What did we fuck up? Let's see. Let's look. Kill the leader, for example. Yeah. What did we miss? What did we miss?
If we had just 2 more points of eloquence.
Milton gets fucked by the fact that his spaghetti falls out of his pockets. But I think the show must go on. The show must go on, and so we must flee. We must flee. Yeah, just so we can reach the end. I think Milton's going to the bottom. He's going to the bottom of the pillar for this one. Oh man, can you imagine we did all that? All of the everyone fucking dies.
Man, this playthrough sucks.
Oh. We did all of that, all of those things, right? All the uniting the family or whatever. But then at the end, it doesn't really matter because they just all get slaughtered, right?
Yeah.
Just got slaughtered.
You stare at the approaching crowd, terrified. There is nothing you can do to stop them. You are doomed. Paul, say something. You have to flee. There is no other way. You cannot escape together. You will each have to find your own way out. Hold on, son. This is our home. Another torch is thrown through the window. More and more fall. Your ancestral home is ablaze. You cast a farewell glance at your father and then turn and run. You dash to the backyard. Several thugs await you there. Desperation lends you strength. You run past your foes, leap over a fence in a single bound, and land in the darkness of the back alley. You hear the din of battle and the roar of the flames raging behind you, but you do not look back. Run, Brante, don't stop. Only once you round the corner do you dare to look over your shoulder. The verdict of the frenzied horde echoes from the house. The end of the world is nigh. No one can stop us anymore. Not the nobles, not the priests, not even the twins themselves. In our final hours, we're taking power in our hands. Feel our wrath. Brante family, we hereby sentence you to true death by fire. The old man's supporters hurl torches through the windows. The flames engulf the buildings in a matter of seconds. You can barely see through the smoke. Our verdict has been carried out. We punished the noble. Well, off we go. Our campaign has just begun. Hee hee. One by one, the distant screams of your loved ones fall silent. The tree in front yard that once protected you and Nathan from the midday heat is now a massive torch. The attic where Gloria used to hide to secretly write her poetry crumbles in a torrent of sparks. The dining room where Stefan used to entertain high-ranking guests is consumed by the blaze. The bedroom where you saw your parents' first faces for the first time is in flames. Finally, the house crumbles with a deafening crash. You could not have saved them. The Brante family is no more, but your path has not come to an end. You have saved your own life, and now you will do all you can to make sure their sacrifices were not in vain. You turn and gaze at the lurid glow of the fire one last time, then step into the darkness. It's almost midnight. You still have a part to play in Anizate's fate.
Yeah, you see, that's like, I mean, yeah. What's the point now? Well, the point is just like anger and blistering rage, and maybe infinite indignancy towards anyone but Sophia. I guess we still have our Anita Sarkeesian,
Well, Nathan
waiting
survived.
for us. Oh yeah, Nathan did survive because he left, right?
Yeah, he went
wait,
wandering.
yeah, he went to the like church and stuff. Oh, look at that. Maybe he's gonna kill us.
It is
Nathan
mere
goes
moments
back to.
from midnight. The glow of the shining pillar is barely visible behind the crimson clouds coming in from the north. But the darkness hanging above the city is dissipated by countless lights, crowds of people holding torches, stakes burning in the squares, houses in flames. The glow of the fires can also be seen from beyond the city walls. The Legion marches down the road, inexorably approaching the gate of a city in the throes of rebellion. The final battle draws near. All the forces that have chosen to defy the Overseer and the Empire flock to the city gate where you have set up your base. The soldiers of the last straw assemble commoners into squads and hastily arm them. Other rebels are led by nobles of the Mantle and former members of the Legion who have joined the revolt. The priests who have sided with you will spread the word of the twins from the city walls, attempting to convince the Legion soldiers to relent and allow the people of Anizate to be free of the lots. Preparations are also in full swing at the camp of the defenders of the Old Order, who have established a foothold in the ruins of Charmilanidas's palace. Soon their fate will be decided. Will they crush the revolt with the aid of the Legion or be crushed themselves by the new era? There is almost no time left, just enough for one last attempt to tip the scales in your favor. Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Dead. Dead.
No way. Wait, is this all just death for us?
Well, no, just everyone.
We just.
That's it.
Okay,
Okay, we're just gonna go see Alborne.
oh man, yeah, let's go.
There are many highborn families in Anizate that have not yet responded to Otten's appeal to join the noble militia. They have preferred to lock themselves up in their mansions and avoid waging war against the lowborn. They could still be won over to your side, but you will need the help from a high-ranking nobleman. While there is still time, you need to take a few trusted men and head to the prefecture. Alborne greets you on the stairs, surrounded by gendarmes. He accepts your request eagerly. You're right, Brante. There are many nobles who are uncertain as to what fate will befall them if the revolt wins. We need to reassure them if we want to gain their support. With the help of the gendarmes, you send out an appeal to all the noble houses you consider dependable. Alborne signs the letters to each family personally. Noble sirs, you know me as a man of honor. I have been a loyal servant to the Overseer, but my ultimate duty is to uphold the law and ensure justice for all the estates. The high-handedness of the noble elite and their neglect of their lot, which is to rule the lowly estate with care and wisdom, has led the people of Anizate to the brink of despair. This is why I have sided with the revolt, and I encourage you to do the same. May it be known that once our victory has been achieved, none of you will face reprisal. I, Prefect Alborne, hereby swear that anyone who supports the revolt in word or deed will obtain a rightful place in the newly transformed city of Anizate. The messengers return one by one, bringing back news that noble families have agreed not to stand in the way of the revolt. Only a few of them leave Elborne's appeal unanswered. The support of the nobles will be of great value in the critical hours of the confrontation. Midnight strikes. You can hear the menacing tread of the legion outside the city walls. The time has come. You order your troops to assemble and prepare to defend the wall.
Ooh. Oh, we're getting close.
Mm-hmm. The dark void beyond the walls of Enizate is lit by hundreds of lights. Heavy boots tread the soil, armor clanks, halberds gleam, drums beat a lively march. Lit by the glow of the torches, the Magran legion approaches the city walls. Gaius Tempus himself leads the legion. It is the overseer's duty to crush the revolt this very night and pacify the city before news of the incident spreads throughout the empire. If the overseer's hesitation allows the revolt to last even a few days, it could jeopardize not only his position, but even the fate of the entire province that has been entrusted to him. Before ordering an assault, the overseer sent a message to the city. My subjects, lay down your arms this instant and open the gate. I know that you have been deceived by the insurgency. You have my word as an Archean ruler that I will spare anyone who aids the legion and turns over the leaders of the revolt. Should you disobey this order from your lawful ruler, none of you will escape disgrace, execution, and eternal torment at the foot of the Shining Pillar. But the overseer's threat only further enraged the rebels, an entire city rebelling against imperial rule. Nothing like this has happened for generations, but not even experts in ancient history could have imagined what is happening on the streets of Enizate at this moment. The decisions you made today have led the entire city to rise up against imperial rule. By nightfall, everyone who has ever suffered from noble tyranny has taken to the streets in support of the last straw. Even those who began the day cowering in terror from the overseer's wrath have now emerged from their homes and joined your cause. The commoners' fear has been eclipsed by their rage. Their march through the city in droves, ready to dispense their own justice. By sunset, even the most loyal defenders of the empire have come to realize that all hope is lost. The loyalists have amassed considerable forces at Shar Milanidas' palace, but they are too late. Hordes of furious commoners storm their camp, crushing any resistance. Exhausted and demoralized by the futile fight, many defenders of the old order flee, mob justice, or surrender and accept their death with dignity. The moans of those trampled by the incensed throng can be heard throughout the camp. Abandoned imperial banners are hurled into the fire. Make way! The crowd grows silent in parts before Sophia. The leader of the revolt is disheveled, her clothes stained with blood, but a predatory smile lingers on her face. Here, amidst fire and madness, she has finally found her place in the world. Just look at your former masters now. Pathetic, aren't they? They thought they could put us in chains again, but they dropped their swords at the first sight of us. They lied to you for centuries, telling you it was your lot to suffer and break your back for them, but look who's suffering now. I give you my word, tonight we're going to execute anyone who isn't on our side, every single one of them, and then we'll feast among the ruins of the old world. The crowd roars, shaking their weapons in the air. Now the only thing standing between us and freedom is the Legion, but we'll take down the Overseer's troops just like we took down the Emperor's lackeys here in Enizate. But first we need to get rid of the rest of the enemies and the traitors in this camp. Sophia takes a glance around the site of the recent massacre. Her merciless gaze stops at you. Brante, the time has come.
Ooh. You know, what must I do, milady? Oh, take charge of the bloodbath. Yes.
What?
Blood. Blood.
What would Brante?
Blood. What will Brante do at this point? Yeah, he's gone too far. You know, the pussy has gone to his brain.
What would Milton do?
Oh, I don't know. It's difficult to say. But I don't think he'd defy Sophia at this point. I mean, she's the only woman in the world, you know, that has given him, you know, a crumb, a crumb of pussy, my lady. He's completely infatuated. It's gonna be blood.
You meet Sophia's gaze. You share her ruthless determination. Together you will dispose of anyone who dares to stand in your way. The path you have chosen will lead to plenty of blood and suffering, but you are both ready. Your cause leaves no room for hesitation. You handle the executions, Paul, but hurry, the Legion is about to attack. At least we don't have to worry about getting attacked from the rear. Go on, get your verdicts. I'll be waiting for you up in the walls. Leaving a small squad with you, Sophia rushes off to defend the gate. You eagerly get to work. Your soldiers dash around the wrecked camp and drag all the survivors to one spot. High-ranking nobles, inquisitors, commoners from the enemy militia, they are all thrown to the ground at your feet. You are summoned by a horde of enraged commoners, surrounded, desperate to strangle their enemies with their bare hands. You order them to restrain themselves. This is not how it's done. Do they want their enemies to come back from the hereafter and take their revenge? You need the verdict of the people's court. At your order, the captives are lined up and forced on their knees. The crowd cheers in bloodthirsty anticipation, eager for the next execution. The gunmen raise their muskets. You address the people of Anizate, loudly announcing that these are the enemies of their freedom, who have dared to take up arms against the great cause of the revolt. What is their verdict? True death. The gunmen take aim and fire again and again until the last of the captives falls, their bodies pierced by bullets. They twitch helplessly, then lie still. Meanwhile, you can hear the din of battle from the walls. Siege ladders fly up against the ramparts. The ground shakes with the heavy tread of the Legion's iron boots. You must hurry. You assemble a squad and head toward the gate. It is slow going. Fires a blanket in Anizate and acrid smoke. The noble districts are in flames, as is the Chancellery. The temples of the old faith are ablaze, and the priests who refuse to join the rebels are burned alive within. Bodies dressed in luxurious clothing float face down in the fountains.
Did that happen?
Hold on.
Like, did that happen during the Protestant Revolution in Germany? Did they burn Catholic priests alive in the churches?
I think so. I think whatever monstrosity you can think of was done by both sides during the Reformation.
Yeah, it was
Protestant.
How long did it last?
The Reformation? Shit, man. I mean, I guess I'd say a century and a half. If you say it started with, like, Martin Luther in, what was it, 1506? The first 2 decades of the 16th century was Martin Luther, and I guess you could say it ends until the Treaty of Westphalia in 1636. So, almost a century and a half.
I mean, what could the Westphalia Treaty be like in the world of Brante?
Oh, it wouldn't even. I don't even think it would happen like that. Like, this seems to be a combination. I mean, although this seems more like Thomas Muntzer or Wat Tyler instead of anything else. This just seems like some, like, radical, like, Bolshevik stuff of just massacre all of the nobles all the time.
But I mean, they also did massacre the nobles during the Reformation.
Well, yeah, the German Peasants' Wars. And Luther basically disavowed. He's like, look, nobles, you guys gotta just slaughter all of these peasants who are going absolutely fucking crazy. Because some people will use anything as an excuse to just go batshit, like this game. So
Yeah, well, I think an important part of this is that, like, magic is pretty evil.
Yep.
Like, there's only one good. So there's, like, the magic that the priests use, but it's, like, different magic. It's like they actually expend something. They don't just call it from nowhere like Sophia does, right? The priests use these silver. What are they called? Silver tablets, little silver ingots that they use to heal people. And there's another occurrence in the game when you play it as the Inquisition. You find a woman that has been growing things in Anizori, in Magra, right? And as we know, nothing can grow in Magra. But she has been using her powers, thinking that they come from God, which I guess to an extent they do, but for good. And you burn her, or you can declare it a miracle, and so on. But in general, I think, like, magic has been seen as a bad thing, right? In European societies.
Yeah. Until it kind of got turned into technological advancement, because people don't really conceive of magic the way it was anymore. We look at it now as just science and technology. It kind of fills the same headspace. And I mean, the only difference between magic and machinery is that you understand how one of them works. Like, computers for most Americans are just magic. They're magic light boxes, and you open it up and it does things, and you don't know how it works or how it's set up, and that includes me. I couldn't set a computer up if I try. I understand that there's components that cause it to do this stuff, but it's like, I don't know, man. I mean,
Hmm.
zeros and ones.
Well, like in China, magic isn't seen as like that negative, or even Japan, or I would say, Russia has some like magic users are not seen as positive, like the soothsayer or the soothsayer is like the oracle, right?
Yeah.
What do you call it? You call it a gypsy soothsayer or a crystal ball flinger?
Um,
What do you?
Psychic.
Yeah, psychic. Well, in Russian, it's called the psychic. It's like the indovinare in Italian, which is to guess, like the guesser. But anyway, and they're seen as scammers. They're seen as like as bad people, but they were still given powers. And in fact, and I'll tell you this because this is a pretty great like Russian trivia style stuff. But there's a channel called NTV, which is NTV, which was founded by I think English people, but I'm not sure. Maybe they were Russians with foreign funding or something. But they basically would put on like modern content. They just show movies and like sitcoms and Little England type shows, all that stuff. A lot of garbage, some fun stuff. But they used to have the Battle of um, fuck, Vestas. Yeah, the Battle of Vestas, or the extrasensory people. Like just daily show where they would be shown like a photo of a crime scene or something. Then they would like go to parking lots, they guess what car had what, and so on. And then they like solve crimes based on extrasensory abilities. And all of this was watched by like millions and millions and millions of Russians. And it's incredibly popular. I think it's still on TV, and it's like it's a meme, it's a reference that you do with your friends. But besides that, basically, I think this was the end of the Soviet Union. The first channel, right, the greatest. Well, what's the number one government channel in America? What's the first cable channel in America?
Oh, which one was it? One NPR. Now that's the one it is today. Um, I think I'm trying to remember which one is government supported. I think PBS was.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, are they all private today? As
well,
in private, you know what I mean by
yeah, I know what you
private. But
mean. Well, I mean NBC is private, I think, as is Fox, but Fox wasn't started till like the '90s with Ted Turner. Um,
Hmm. No, no, no.
um,
Well, when Russia got television, they had the first channel, the second channel, and I think that was like it. Um, and no one had 24-hour television back then,
mhm.
obviously. Like America didn't have 24-hour television till Fox, I think,
Yeah.
right?
And
Yeah.
that's what was so revolutionary about Fox as a concept was that it began the 24-hour news cycle. Um, and also, I was listening to, take all of Peter Zeihan's opinions with a grain of salt. But I was listening to Peter Zeihan talk about, the decline of media, and he basically attributes it to the fact that there is not a wide supply of media sources anymore, who can give you a diversity of opinions, because they have their own individual reporters on the ground that can liaise with other people. So it's like, it used to be there were a bunch of different magazines with a bunch of that all had their own like foreign correspondents that gave them their own take on the situation, and you could kind of piece together from all of those different reports something resembling news, which is what some of the bigger newspapers did. But now that it's like the media landscape is basically Fox, MSNBC, the Washington Post, the New York Times, and the Wall Street Journal in terms of, newspapers and television. Now that that's the case, then, well, there's not really much you can do. And so Zihan recommended 2 news services that still have this on the ground thing, with their biases, of course. He actually recommended Al Jazeera as a really good source because, for anything that's not about the Middle East, because obviously as a state-run Qatari television station, it's going to be very biased in favor of a certain worldview, according to Zihan. Everyone's biased towards a certain worldview, but what, having multiple sources of media does is it allows you to construct the narrative that most accurately reinforces your bias.
That most accurately makes you feel funny feelings.
Exactly. And that's the
best.
It's
like if people have a lot of media or like a lot of opinions, they, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily going to get the rightest opinion. They're just going to get like it'll be a buffet instead of a prison plate.
Yeah. It's like you don't need to. Here's the thing, like the idea of objectivity is actually a very politically potent weapon for the left. For the right, political subjectivity is a potent weapon for us because, what is it? I tweeted this out, Bobby, and as soon as I say this, I'm gonna have to go downstairs and get myself another cup of coffee. I'll be back in like 20 seconds. But like, Bobby, you know how I said that on Twitter that the right pretends to be pragmatic and the left pretends to be moral?
Yeah, the right is definitely not pragmatic. I mean, we can't.
Yeah, but like we all LARP as like these Bismarck, Kissinger statesmen, like making hard decisions.
Okay, not anymore. That's more like a libertarian thing.
No. Like the right kind of holds this sort of like we're all like the minister, like we're all the Secretary of State of the dissident right or something like that. Making hard pragmatic decisions, and yeah, there is a such thing as a pragmatism LARP, and really, the right wing. Everyone around here talks. Sam Batch was talking about this, and he's like, you guys don't even, you talk about Schmidt, and the leftists wake up and breathe Schmidt. Like, they don't even need to know who he is. The leftists, their whole being is friend-enemy. They can believe anything if it goes in line with friend-enemy. Yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing, is it's like the right, when we talk about Schmidt friend enemy, we're talking about it because we're lacking it, because we don't know, we're willing to, we don't know who our friends are, we don't know who our enemies are. It's like, we can't even accurately name groups of people, other than just like that one group, Bobby, that have caused problems. So it's like the right clearly believes in something more than just pure power politics. Because if we believed in nothing but power politics, we'd all be leftists. So if we're the side of the moralists, then, my suggestion is that, hey, perhaps we should just lean into that. Perhaps we should stop trying to be pragmatic and stop pretending to be pragmatic and start just browbeating people for being immoral. But and here's the thing, this requires appealing to women, because women do this better than anyone. Women will just browbeat just to browbeat, just because, other people are saying it so. And, I think that's the direction we're going, but it's like, look, the right needs to be unabashedly like the 90s evangelicals, because the 90s evangelicals were really politically successful. And
yeah, but the 90s evangelicals lost.
Eventually they did. Yeah, because every political movement loses.
Yeah, right? but they lost. Like all the...
Bobby,
I guess you're right.
Bobby,
no, I don't know. Look.
listen. There were some political movements that have remained. Oh, what would you call it? That have reigned for a very long time. Singapore is one of them, right?
Yeah.
Like, despite every bad thing that it has, they've still been ascendant for so long, and you can say that American, like, deep state has been ruling America for like 100 to 200 years or something,
I'd put it
right?
about
But
100, about 100,
yeah,
because it was
I
what is
think
it?
you're right.
It
Basically,
begin.
First World War.
Yeah, it begins with the
Yeah.
compromising of the Wilson administration. I've recently come across some theories that the quote unquote deep state is really just MI6, or adjacent. Really the deep state is just the Council on Foreign Relations. Like that's the deep state, which was set up with, money from Great Britain. Money from Great Britain. It was like the Royal Institute of something set up the Council of Foreign Relations in the United States, but that money that the Royal Institute got was actually given to them by the Rockefellers. So Americans paid the British to set up the American deep state. But yeah, Bobby. I mean, but the thing is it's like I part of my whole like thing here, my whole stint in the DR, Bobby, right, is finding out who we point the gun at, the metaphorical gun in this instance. Who we point the metaphorical gun at. The obvious answer is just the leftists or the group of people or whomever. But it's like these are you're pointing it at second order effects. You're treating symptoms. You're going after like street pushers and not distributors. And so it's like and they like it when you do that.
Yeah, but you also have to go after street pushers, because if you go after street pushers, you don't, the producers eventually don't have anyone to sell to.
Yeah, that's true, but it's like, you need to know whose business you're undercutting by going after the street pushers and then have a plan to, and it's like, so I think, what is it? The quote unquote group, that is an explanation has never been satisfying to me. It's always seemed like it's a little bit too simple, too easy. It is very not, how should I say it? It's very not complex enough, I think, to actually solve the question. The MI6, basically British Empire deep state theory, I think holds a lot more water because I can track it. I can see the consequences of it. For example, why are Americans for some reason obsessed with the royal family? Why is it pushed to us in media? Why do we care? Didn't we fight a whole war to not care about the royal family? Why are we having all these British singers on our radios? Why are all of these British actors in our movies? Why do we have this special relationship with Great Britain? Why do we pursue foreign policy goals in alignment with Great Britain? Why do we do all of these things? And why is it like controversial to suggest that maybe we shouldn't do this? Maybe we should, I don't know. Why do all of these, why do all of these Rhodes scholars who, and end up making it to the presidency, why do they all suck? It's strange, Bobby. I can track that. That's something I can see with tangible evidence. And here's the other thing. It has a slot for every other theory. Like, why does this group get disproportionately benefited? Well, they're a part of the chessboard and etc. And it's like,
yeah, why does America hate Russia so much, right?
Yeah, why? We have no reason to. like personally, Bobby, I have no, I don't care about what's going on in Ukraine. We shouldn't even be over there in the first place. That's not in our sphere of influence. You
Yeah,
know?
but it's also true that you do have like if Russia takes over Ukraine, like it's going to it has already taken over Belarus, and it will go kind of taking back its imperial residences, and at
Yeah.
that point it will be very very close to being close to you to Italy, to France, to Germany, or whatever, and a lot of those places are basically American. What would you call them? Like puppet states. Like I mean, maybe this is going to sound offensive, but a McDonald's is the same as an American embassy.
Well, yeah,
It's just a cult.
but Bobby, like hold on,
Yeah.
let's look at this. Why are they quote unquote American puppet states in the first place? Why did we even go over there? It was World War II. They're quote unquote puppet states because of the consequences of the Second World War. Why did we get involved in the Second World War? On the side of Britain, because, we had a president who wanted us to be. We had a whole upper class who wanted us to be. We had, and so it's like Americans were kind of, and now don't get me wrong, and I don't think Americans are blameless, but it's like Americans were kind of duped into doing this, through the advent of mass media, through cultural programming, through the decisions of our leaders, through the exploitation of trust in institutions, etc. And this was done in World War One as well. It's like, so
It's true. You're correct. That like if we think deeper about this, the American people and culture and just maybe the American glory hasn't gained anything from taking over Europe.
yeah.
It has only gotten worse.
Well, yeah, and materially we got wealthy off of it, but at the same time, not really. Like, the Marshall Plan, we just totally rebuilt Europe.
Yeah.
We didn't turn Europe into like a dumping market for our produced goods. No, we rebuilt their industry basically from the ground up with loans that are still outstanding to this day. Like, and it was all sorts of aid was given, all this other stuff, and it's like, yeah, you're right. What has it gained the American people in terms of their dignity as a people? Well, the United States.
Yeah, it's true. I think that maybe like AA rails against like American influence, but in a way you could definitely make an argument that a lot of this influence uh, also hurts most of America. I mean, it only like who does it benefit really?
I
Like
know
are we going down?
I found out who like so I can actually answer that question now. Basically, the group of elite families that were at the top of the British Empire never went away. They never went away. The Rothschilds being the most famous because they're the ones who control the banks and all that other stuff. They're where the buck stops in terms of international finance, is the Rothschild family.
What about the rich men north of Richmond?
They're like, look, they're B tier leaders.
Yeah.
Like this is the thing I've noticed. Is like, there are governments, and then there's like a level above the government. It's and this is when you get into stuff like the Club of Rome, the World Economic Forum, Agenda 21, etc., etc., etc. And I was listening to some streams about this recently, and it's like, oh, apparently this all starts with fucking Cecil Rhodes leaving his massive African fortune to the British Empire with an attempt to bring the United States back into the British Empire, and it was done vis-a-vis J.P. Morgan and Colonel House in World War One. And and so it's like look, I don't know, but I mean, look, I don't mean to sound like a lot of this stuff is just public knowledge and is just publicly acknowledged, but it's like, to me, thus far, it is the narrative that most directly addresses it. Sam Batch, I think, agrees with parts of it. And it's like, now, like, the Five Eyes, you know, the Five Eyes and the Commonwealth are proof that the British Empire just still exists. It never stopped existing. You know, it just started calling itself something else, and it changed the method of economic exploitation. Now, I don't really much care about third world brown people, but, like, I do care about the fact that my country, which was founded upon fighting a war against Great Britain for its own independence, is now possibly, given this theory, disproportionately under the influence of Great Britain once again, who is then using that. Not Great Britain once again. It's like this group of individuals at the top of the empire. Not even so much the royal family, but, you know, the tradition of the Star Chamber, and I was talking about John Dee earlier. That same kind of thing it's like the puppet masters behind all of this other stuff, and that this is how the English do things. Is that they are backstabbers, they are espionagers, they create conflicts out of nothing, they create nations, you know, and they keep them existing to have basically an eternal stalemate in certain regions, and they resist multipolarity. You know, they meddle, they do all these things. So look, I mean,
Well, we started with magic.
I know.
Now we're back
Bobby,
into
I have to go.
English Empire versus the American Russia. This is pretty good.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's like, you know, what is, and it's all. I don't want to.
All connected.
Well, yeah, it's all connected, and the thing is it's like, look, this makes the most sense, because this group of people everyone talks about that, you know, wear funny hats, they're not ethnically competent.
Yeah.
They're not ethnically competent enough to be the guys. Maybe they're a really valued enforcer arm that gets all sorts of benefits, but they're not the guys. Another question, Bobby. Why in the 20th century were massive efforts brought to basically eliminate every single country that had a majority of white people outside of Europe? Rhodesia, South Africa, all of decolonization. Not so much South America, because they're Argentina, Cuba. Cuba was one of the repository of the whitest Spaniards in the Caribbean, and now the United States. You know, it's like why is this happening? You know, why did this happen? And I think it's just because it's an imperial consolidation. A lot of it is petty payback. I think grudges were held from the Boer Wars and other things like that. Grudges were held from even going back as 1776. Grudges were held from that, and you know, and this is how the British do things. They are very patient. They don't get revenge.
Would you say that the British aren't white?
No, they are. They very much are. Well, no one outside of America is white. White is an explicitly American denomination, and that's why.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're correct.
And that's why it doesn't work anywhere else. You know.
Although, 1 second, you have to remember, Leonid Brezhnev, and his remark about the extinction of the white people, because, like, you know, the Tatars and all that stuff. That's a very, very clear and present danger in the Russian mind, you know, of the Uzbek that comes in and, like, rapes the land and burns down your house, or the Mongols that are coming from the east. Yeah, the east and Russia, you know, they call it the Far East back in the old country. That's the danger zone. That's the horrible land. And I think that maybe that's another similitude between the American people and the Russian people, is the adjective white. right? That like Russians identify whiteness with Russianness, absolutely, because they are in a multi-ethnic, multicultural country, and there are clear like lines of identification between the populace. The Uzbeks consider themselves Uzbeks, the Kazakhstanis, the same, but the government of Russia considers everyone Russian. um,
Well, yeah.
yeah
Well,
so
and that's the same thing. Is it's like, and I have to go get a cup of coffee before, and we've only got like 30
go
something
go
minutes, but we're we're,
run
we're we're close to being done.
run buddy run. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Bobby.
Okay,
We're gonna keep going.
yeah,
The
let's
battle,
finish this up,
the battle for
buddy.
Enizate. Bodies dressed in luxurious clothing float face down in the fountains. The bodies of those executed by firing squad lay in heaps by the walls. The cobblestones are littered with the corpses of those hurled from the windows of their own homes. Robbers loot the crypts of noble families, tossing ancient bones into the dirt. But right now the streets are empty. Everyone capable of holding a weapon is rushing to defend the gate. By the time you arrive, the battle has already reached its peak. Deafening gunshots ring out from above. Brante, come here. We fought off the first attack. You clamber up onto the wall, giving orders as you go, as if placing toy soldiers. You almost bump into Sophia. She is excited, her black from gunpowder smoke. She squeezes your shoulder. We repelled the first attack, Paul. That blue-faced bastard sent us a herald, said we should lay down our arms and surrender. I shot him right in his head. Meanwhile,
Wait,
Hmm?
pause. Wasn't She's excited. Her black from gunpowder smoke.
Yeah,
What the?
Yeah,
What did they hair black? They wanted to say hair black. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what they wanted to say.
Yeah, it's definitely hair black from gunpowder smoke,
Something like
or
that.
maybe her hair black.
I don't know
Yeah.
what they were trying to say. Because she had black hair without gunpowder smoke.
Well, maybe it's like her hands. Oh yeah, because she squeezes your shoulder. Her hands black.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead.
Meanwhile, the overseer orders another assault. Take the wall! Come on, men, they're just commoners. They don't stand a chance against you. This time, Gaius Tempest sends 2 battalions of heavy infantry at the wall to the left of the gate. They are followed by archers. Not even gunshots can stop this attack. The ladders fly up. A hail of arrows pelt your positions. Hold the line. I'll hit the archers. You hold the wall. Don't let them through. The defenders on the walls attempt to throw the ladders back, hurtling stones at their assailants and pouring boiling oil on them. But the onslaught is too strong. One by one, the Legion soldiers begin to leap from their ladders onto the city walls. If you falter now, all is lost. You gather your best men and send them against the Legion soldiers. The walls erupt into bloody mayhem. All over the walls, the bodies of the fallen fade into the brilliant flashes of light. You and your soldiers desperately hack, shoot, and hurl enemies from the walls. The siege ladders fall to the ground below. The attack has been repelled. Twice more, Gaius Tempest orders his troops to attack the wall. Twice more, the walls are stained with blood. Twice more, your soldiers withstand the onslaught. The dawn is drawing near. Even from your position on the walls, you see the Legion soldiers slowly, hesitantly regrouping for the next attack. Desperate, the overseer himself steps forward to address his demoralized troops. Are you really afraid of some commoners who can barely hold a weapon? Don't fear them, you fools. Fear the wrath of your emperor. Fear the wrath of the Tempests. It is your sacred duty to re-establish imperial rule in Enizate. The city will fall and its pathetic rebellion will be crushed. Go forth, I will lead the charge myself. The overseer raises his ancient sword high above his head. The Legion soldiers shuddered. No member of the royal family has taken up arms in centuries. The first rays of the rising sun appear on the horizon, breaking through the gray storm clouds. Led by its royal commander, the Legion begins its decisive attack. Ragged, covered in blood, barely able to stand, you get the surviving soldiers back on their feet in order them to defend the city one last time. Not even the twins themselves could get through this gate. But the time for speeches is long past. Now there's only smoke, blood, clanking of swords. Now you can just fight and win. You see the Imperial banner flutter before you. The Legion soldiers are scaling the wall, the Overseer himself first among them. You and your men rush towards the banner. You will capture Gaia's Tempest. Sensing that victory is close in hand, your warriors use their last ounce of strength to break through to the enemy commander. The Legionnaires try to form a defensive ring around the Overseer, but the enraged rebels dash them aside like toy soldiers. Gaia's Tempest is surrounded. Wielding his sword masterfully, he slays one of your soldiers after another. Sophia suddenly emerges from behind him, her furious visage aglow with sorcerous sparks. Freeze! Against his will, the Arcane nobleman stumbles and halts. It's now or never. You charge at your enemy and knock the blade from his hands. Still bound by Sophia's spell, Gaia's Tempest stares at you in astonishment. A dozen soldiers pin him against the wall. Sophia stops beside you, casting a mocking glance at the defeated commander. Who's the master now, huh? The leader of the revolt picks up a fallen Imperial banner and tosses it over the edge of the wall. Down below, the soldiers of the Legion begin to flee. You have won. The surviving defenders on the wall lean against the Merlins, exhausted or simply collapse. Down by the gate, you hear triumphant shouts. Like a wave, they roll further over the streets and squares over the entire city. Victory! Anizate has won its freedom. The Overseer stares at you icily. There is genuine bitterness in his voice. Madmen, you have doomed your city. It will be destroyed. I was not your enemy until you forced me to send my army against you. One step at a time, I would have changed this province. I would have made your lives better. But now the entire force of the Empire is about to come crashing down upon you. The punishment for your insolence will be terrible indeed. And what was it all for? What did you hope to achieve? Freedom from butchers like you. Wow, girl boss moment. I fucking hate you, Sophia. I hate you so much. Butchers like
my
men.
love.
Butchers like men. And what exactly do you think you are? You withstood my attack today. Now what? Do you want the entire world at war? What will become of the Empire after your revolt? You look back at your city, crimson in the glow of flames and the rays of the sun. You turn back to your former ruler. I want to burn it all down. Those who used to be in power will burn. The old regime will burn. The endless injustice the Empire has built on it will all burn. Sophia grabs the captive commander by the neck and forces him to face the city. A massive crowd is gathered by the gate. Everyone is watching, waiting to see what will become of the Overseer. See how many of us there are? Your day is done. Say bye-bye to your power, Blueface. Sophia raises a fist in the air and proclaims victory before the entire city. People of Anizate, we've won! Nothing in the Empire can stop us now. But remember, this was just the beginning. Now we're going to put the whole Empire on trial. And the first person we're going to judge is Gaia's Tempest, your former Overseer and the Emperor's brother. You know all about his crimes against you. What is your verdict, people of Anizate? The fateful words roll through the square like thunder. True death. This cannot be. The law is divine. Only the twins can grant the right to judge. Sophia hands you a dagger. Sir Brante will carry out the sentence. Raising the blade aloft, you step toward Gaia's Tempest as he kneels before you. The crowd roars. Strength beyond imagining surges through your arm. With one swift motion, you slit the former Overseer's throat. Royal blood runs down your fingers. The man who just yesterday was one of the most powerful Arcanians in the Empire collapses at your feet. You raise the bloody dagger high in the air. The Empire has been sentenced to death. Time stands still. You look back at the years gone by, all the difficult decisions you had to make, and all the actions that helped you take your place in history. You have put an end to the old era with your own hand. Your destiny has been fulfilled. He's dead! The Overseer is dead! Go, people. There are plenty of enemies left in the city. It's high time they learn the true meaning of suffering. Find them, capture them, and execute them. Brante will lead you. The bloody procession begins to scour Anizate for the enemies of the revolt. Once the city is purged, it will continue its march from province to province. In time, it will reach the capital and the throne of the Emperor himself, and you are in command of it. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Oh, buddy. We are... Then again, it's also kind of cool that we are together with our insane waifu. Men like their insane, crazy girlfriends, all that stuff. And I mean, Gaia's Tempest, he didn't have a crazy girlfriend by his side. So it's the power of the family, I guess. It's you could definitely see similar things in the regime's conquests. When they all the Weather Underground stuff. I mean, it was men and women.
Yeah.
Well, maybe so. Yeah, I guess you could still become paused
even if you have like a traditional structure, you
Yeah.
know, you can just because it's like it's in fact it'll be easier for you to become to win in this pause thing. That's why like most married people are not like crazy dissenters. You know, they're very very loyal um, soldiers of the state. And most of them, like I bet if you were to go through like families in America, you would definitely see that most of them got vaxxed. Most of them like pay their taxes and all that stuff, except for all the minorities. Yeah, they just don't care, you know. But maybe it's not because they're like they are dissenters or like natural dissenters, but because or naturally traditionalist or whatever they say. But maybe it's because they are privileged, you know, in that sense they are the favorite pets of the state, and so the state doesn't really care, like to oppress them, you know, or to steal from them in any way. Another thing that I've realized is that as you know, the poorer people become, the less they like steal and do crime. I guess something like that. Like maybe white people, the poorer white people become, because like Vienna, despite everything, like people people felt very very safe. Like people just left their phones to charge like in the corners, and you know they no one like grabbed their purses or whatever, because really like you're going to steal that, and what are you going to get? Like you're going to get like a couple of $100, but everything else is like locked. Like all your phones are locked. I mean, you don't really need a phone even if it were unlocked. You can like sell it for too much money. So if you're like a drug addict or whatever, like you'd have to break into someone's house, or you, but but maybe it's actually easier for you to just ask money on the street. You know, if you were like a hobo, like a panhandler, you know, 'cause panhandling is a big fucking business. Like you do know that panhandlers earn quite a bit, especially in like tourist centers. You could get like $1,000 a day, essentially.
Panhandling?
You'd have, yeah, panhandling. You'd give most of it away to your superior, of course, because you're not alone there. You know, like a panhandler is never alone as a panhandler. There's another guy that sits nearby and looks for competitors, of course. Looks onto, he surveils the panhandler to see that he's not hiding any money. And of course, if people get aggressive or like try to steal stuff from him, he's also there. Um, that exists, and of course, it's there. You like if you just go and panhandle, if you just like decide to panhandle, you're going to have a very bad time. People are going to fuck you up, basically. But you can do busking without any necessary like permissions, except for certain places. I don't think Italy requires a busking license, but I think you need one in like England. You need
Bobby,
one in Vienna.
I have no idea what panhandling or busking is. I hate to tell you.
Well, you don't. Well, panhandling is when you ask for money in the streets.
Oh, gotcha. So it's just begging, basically.
Begging, yeah, good job. Yeah, and busking is when you play for money.
Hmm.
Yeah, you like play the guitar. That's called busking. What do you call it in America?
I mean, I don't know. We just call it. I mean, panhandling is probably a word we use in America. I'm just stupid. I, I don't know, man. I don't know how this came up.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know either. But let's continue. Let's
new
go.
day dawns. It is morning. You stumble along a now empty back street, utterly exhausted after the most trying night of your life. An elderly stranger in a threadbare cloak shambles down the road in the opposite direction. An old man looks around cautiously at every step, seemingly struggling to remember where he is going. As you approach him, he suddenly stops and speaks to you. Good morning to you. You slow down for the old man and wearily return his greeting. May I ask you for a favor, my friend? You barely have enough energy to waste today, but there is something about this old stranger's voice that compels you to listen. A favor? What kind of favor? Well, my brother...
We all know this.
Yeah. Of any Sati. Someone spelled it weirdly. My brother and I had a disagreement, you see, and I want to know who was right. My brother says that this world is already perfect as it is. The twins made it like this, after all. The older stranger pauses, casting a glance over the street, the charred carcasses of buildings and homes, the overturned carriages, the dry bloodstains on the paving stones. And I told my brother that, no matter what their initial design may have been, the world as it is now needs to change. So then my brother asked me what exactly needs changing, but I had no answer for him. So here I am, wandering around tormented by this question. Would you help us settle our dispute, my good man? Who is in the right here, me or my brother? If you were in the twins' place, what would you do? What about the world needs changing?
Ooh, is this like this is asking the player? No? Yes, it is. Okay, what do you think? What do you think, Paul? Let's go. It's all about you. Paul.
I chose my choice.
Wonderful.
You rub your temples thinking and recall the last words you heard from Nathan. He spoke of forgiveness. You have an answer for the old man. The twin gods know no mercy. That is why their world is flawed. The twins granted us their law in order to steer us away from eternal suffering in the afterlife. But this same law also dooms our souls to torment at the foot of the pillar for even the slightest transgression. A man who commits a single error has no hope for redemption. Our existence is nothing more than an agonizing preamble to inevitable retribution. Is this really what the twins wanted for us? They gave mortals free will, and so they are filled with passions, doubts, and desires. You know this as well as anyone. If you were them, you would grant people forgiveness, or at least grant it to those who truly repent and make an effort to right their own wrongs. The elderly man listens carefully to your every word. His eyes are wide like a child seeing the world around him for the first time. You know, someone else told me something very similar. A young man who is far too old and wise for his years. I can feel the pain and truth in your words. Thank you, Paul, for settling our disagreement. The old man rewards you with a gentle smile and slowly walks away. Wait, how did he know your name? You spin around, but the street is empty.
Look at that. On the road to Damascus, buddy.
It only took a few days for the entire empire to learn of the revolt and the events that happened in Anizante, the unthinkable victory of the common folk over the war engine that was the Imperial Legion, the ruthless and fearsome leaders of the rebellion, the terrifying slaughter of the nobles, priests, and anyone else who stood in the insurgents' way. By the end of the second day, the revolt had reduced the city of Anizate to a charred, smoldering ruin. Thick, acrid smoke from burning buildings and gunpowder blanketed the city. Bodies swung from ropes on every street. The results of the justice of the People's Court, sprawled, abandoned, lead-ridden corpses could be found in every square. The events of these days entered the annals of history as the Great Anizate Massacre. But the rebels were not content. Having purged all their enemies from Anizate, they immediately began to march across the province. Every town and village in their way was freed from noble rule. As the landowners fled in terror, the commoners abandoned their homes and armed themselves to fight beneath the banner of the last straw. The rebel army grew stronger by the day. So began their bloody campaign of destruction. Wherever the rebels marched, the old ways of the empire collapsed. They have no mercy, leaving nothing behind but smoldering ruins and the ashes of the dead. Age-old traditions burn as their ravenous flames consume town after town, city after city. The old noble dynasties are amassing their own armies beneath the banner of the Tempest to fight off this chaos, but the rebel hordes are already approaching the capital. There's no stopping them. Sophia's dream of waging war against the old world begun. Regardless of the outcome, the empire will never be the same again.
Ooh.
The bloodthirsty march of the rebellion obliterated any semblance of the rule of law in Magra. The last straw and its followers massacred all the old rulers, leaving chaos and anarchy in their wake. It was only inevitable that the province would fall into the hands of outlaws and marauders. The old ways are gone, but can the people of Magra build something new in their place? The new faith endured the persecution of the Inquisition and survived Patriarch Cassius to become the dominant church in Magra. Since then, most Magran priests preach that everyone is free to find their own path to the twins. The old faith has lost the influence it once had. It survives only thanks to the most uncompromising priests, the dynasties of old, and fearful commoners in the most remote Magran villages. Crises of the past few years have annihilated the province's former prosperity. The fertile fields have been scorched, the mines have been abandoned, the factories stand idle with no one to work in them. The looming threat of hunger and poverty drives the people to backbreaking labor and the tried and true ways of their ancestors. Commoners flee the cities in droves and flock to villages and towns, hoping to squeeze some paltry nourishments from the inhospitable Magaran soil. The province is on the verge of starvation and toil. Lawless anarchy replaced the old order, plunging Magra into chaos. The people of the province no longer knows whose orders and which laws they are to follow, and the authorities that remain have no power to maintain order. The most reckless commoners become outlaws and thieves. The nobles feud amongst themselves. Bloodshed, looting, and wanton cruelty became commonplace in Magra. This lawlessness soon spreads to the rest of the empire. Nathan the prophet taught the people of the empire that anyone who violates the law of the twins should pray to them and ask for their forgiveness. The people were reluctant to believe his words at first, until they saw the signs from the gods themselves. Every person who endured a lesser death and went to meet the twins now returned to the mortal world bearing their glad tidings. The gods have learned what it means to forgive, and they shall grant forgiveness to all who sincerely repent and are prepared to right the wrongs they have done. The people of the empire now have hope, a promise of forgiveness, no matter their transgression. And so, the courier who cheated death again.
Well, yeah, but what a great ending, huh? We've got both the bloodshed and forgiveness.
Well, let's take a look
it's like
what
the best
happened.
parts of the Bible
That's true.
rolled in one.
Truly a Miltonian playthrough, Bobby. What became of Felipe
Yeah.
Alfaro? Although Felipe escaped Anizate with his life shortly before the rebellion broke out, his ambition still cost him dearly. The last straw, ostensibly a straw man of Felipe's own creation, incited a full-fledged revolt. The advisor took great pains to keep his work a secret, but his involvement in the revolt was eventually uncovered. Advisor Felipe Alfaro was found guilty of treason and plotting to take over Anizate. He met his end on the gallows in the main square of Eterna.
The biggest loser of all of this playthrough. Alfaro,
the Archnean commander...
The idiot, the greatest idiot.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Archnean commander fought with all his might against the rebellious rabble he so despised, yet even a skilled swordsman such as he was doomed when confronted with a citywide uprising. The haughty Archnean became Sophia's prisoner, and so his life was forfeit. He spent his final moments in inconceivable agony. Sophia did not permit him to die until his spirit and body were completely and utterly broken. You know, maybe the ancient Greeks were right in that it's probably not a good idea to give people who were raped political power, because they tend to inflict their trauma on the rest of the world. This isn't a hard and fast rule, though. Maybe this is why our politicians suck so much, is because so many of our political systems are based on like mutual blackmail based around sodomy of older members with younger members. You know what I mean, Bobby?
I don't know if that's true. Like, if you say that it's true, then yeah.
Skull and Bones.
I mean,
various, like, there's all sorts of clubs that basically, like, it's mutually assured destruction. It's, you know, basically to be in the club, you have to basically let yourself be sodomized by one of the older guys who themselves let themselves be sodomized, and it's photographed and it's all kept, and basically it could be released at any point to kind of keep you in line. Long after...
I mean, if a photo of, like, Obama or, I don't know, Donald Trump or whatever gets out of him being sodomized, no one's going to be like, ha-ha. No one's going to be like, ha-ha, Donald Trump, you're so cringe because you got sodomized as a little kid.
No, like, it's not as a little kid, and it wasn't Trump. Trump wasn't in these clubs. He was a total outsider.
What about George? Okay, George Bush.
George Bush is a much better example.
Yeah.
It's actually he's kind of the archetypal example. People point to him, but I mean, it's you know, it wasn't. Yeah. It's not as a little kid. It's as like a college-aged man. You know, as a grown man who can make your own decision. This is what Bohemian Grove is about. If you ever hear about that, you know, Nixon who went, he's like, just the faggiest thing I ever saw in my life. It's probably gonna get me.
Everyone went to the Bohemian Grove, like actors, musicians, politicians.
Yeah, and they did weirdo like cult. Anyway, Long after the once invincible Dorius Otten was no more, the corpse of the mighty Arcnian remained chained to the Anizate Gate. Look at the world
like
created.
those priests of old that got put into, and like criminals of old that got put into cages and hung on on churches and castles. Some of them are still hanging there to this day.
When Prefect Augustin Elborne saw firsthand the atrocities being committed on the streets of Anizate, he did what he could to urge the people to stop Sophia and her henchmen by any means necessary. But he was too late. In the end, Elborne shared the same fate as the last straw's other enemies. The former judge faced death with dignity, showing no fear before the rebels' muskets. He expressed only deep, bitter sorrow. So he helped us and we still betrayed him. Sir Elborne is remembered as one of the ringleaders of the Anizate massacre and the bloodthirsty rebellion that poisoned the entire empire.
Yeah. Good riddance. I hated Elborne since the very beginning.
I don't mind Elborne.
He's like weak. He's like what is it? He's not like he's the kind of person that would give women the right to vote.
Leonard railed furiously against the murderous executions perpetrated by... No, he died. He didn't do that. He died. Yeah. He died. Game. He got crushed by the temple.
Yeah, exactly. He did die at the temple.
Well, maybe he's real. None of this happened.
Yeah, none of that. Oh, that's pretty interesting. Maybe he escaped because he forgot how physics work, right? Like Bugs Bunny himself.
No, he didn't die. We pulled him out. We pulled him out, I think. I don't know. Leonard railed furiously.
Yeah, because we chose to.
Yeah, we saved him and let all of it. Leonard railed furiously against the murderous executions perpetrated by Sophia. In an effort to end the massacre, he sought to reconcile the opposing factions. Leonard was labeled an enemy of the revolt. For crimes against the great cause, the People's Court sentenced him to death along with its other perceived foes. He spent his final moments in prayer, tormented by the realization that he had unwittingly helped to precipitate this terrible slaughter. Leonard is remembered by the new believers as the greatest preacher of his day, but among the old believers he left an undying legacy as a nemesis of the church who violated the twins' divine design.
Ooh.
What became of Tomas?
No.
By the time the revolt had set Anizate ablaze, Tomas Guerrero was already living a new life with his family far from the city. It seemed as though he could finally enjoy a peaceful life. But a few months later, the rebellion reached the sleepy village where your friend and his wife had put down roots. A horde of rebels approached the village where they lived, and most of the villagers joined them, eager to loot and pillage their very own community. Tomas fought desperately for his life and livelihood, but he was torn limb from limb by his former neighbors. This is the world we created, Bobby. You will see everything you've ever done come to nothing.
Can you imagine Tomas, like, good guy, great guy, saved us, and then his own neighbors ate him alive. This is like, this doesn't really happen in real life. Like, even in Russia, my grandparents did tell me about the things that were happening during the decolonization. And the reality was that, like, neighbors didn't really, like, turn against each other. People, like, hit each other and people ran away together. But what the Soviet Union did at the time is that they brought a lot of foreigners from, like, the mountains, from the Far East regions to the provinces. And they had no qualms with, like, eating people alive. But this whole thing about, like, the neighbors will betray you because of ideology. That's kind of a really new thing.
No.
If you think about it. Because back then...
Really?
What do you think?
It's like, what is it? It's like, really, I think the fact that, like, ethnicity plays a lot bigger of a role in everything than people think it does. And as a matter of fact, it's ethnicity not just like white versus black, but specifically down to like I have a friend of mine who talks about alpinoids / brachycephaloids versus like Nordics and Mediterraneans who are closer to each other than they are to alpinids. And he brings up historical reasons for it, but Yeah, it's like the French Revolution was the genetic ideology of alpinoids with very small skulls, and it looks a lot like this. But I digress.
Ooh.
Yeah, and
Well, let's go.
ever since she was young, Sophia had been the living embodiment of hatred, the spawn of every hideous injustice committed in the Empire. She prevailed in the struggle for Anizate, and that victory finally revealed her true power. Now Sophia casts her shadow over every corner of the Empire, her eyes blazing with yellow flame, eager to incinerate every army and province in her path. No one can stop Sophia and defeat her bloodthirsty hordes. After the victory in Anizate, the inveterate rebel began a brutal war against the old order, a war that had seemed utterly unthinkable just a few years ago, a war of annihilation. Sophia is remembered as the woman who destroyed the blessed Arcanian Empire and burned the old world to the ground. The Brante estate was razed to the ground. All who lived within its walls are dead, murdered by the ruthless mob, and condemned by the people's court. Even the family crypt was desecrated and destroyed. Committing blasphemy and defiling the final resting place of the dead meant nothing to the crazed looters. The ignoble fate of the Bronte family became a tragic tale told among the people for years to come. Your father fought to his last breath to protect his home against a horde of crazed looters, but in the end he suffered the same fate as many other wealthy citizens of Anizate. In accordance with the verdict of the People's Court, Robert Bronte was burned at the stake.
No, he died. This is a false folklore. He burned inside the house. He burned to death.
Nathan, well, I mean, he burned either way. Maybe they just grabbed him from the house and burned him. Nathan left Anizate in fear of blessing, inexplicably managing to escape the city in the middle of the revolt. He then set out on a lengthy journey across the empire. He emerged unscathed from every danger or hardship he encountered during his travels. It was as though the twins themselves were watching over him. One day, after months of wandering the world as a pilgrim, Nathan suddenly returned to Anizate. Your brother walked to the silver tree where he spoke to the people. He told them about how he had met the elder twin himself, who had descended from on high to walk the world once more. Nathan confessed all his transgressions and sins to him, knowing full well that he would find no mercy, only eternal torment at the foot of the pillar. To his surprise, the elder listened to him with tears in his eyes. Filled with compassion for his own creation, he forgave Nathan for all the evils he had done. After his sermon, the followers started flocking to Nathan's side. In time, they called themselves the Elders' Witnesses. Their teachings began to make their way across the empire. To this day, Nathan's disciples still spread the word. The twin gods have learned forgiveness.
Oh, the twin gods have learned forgiveness.
Gregor Bronte was denied his final rest even in the hereafter. The frenzied mob did more than just destroy the Bronte home. The family crypt was looted and left to rot. The Bronte forefathers' remains were desecrated, his very name and legacy dishonored.
Man, just one good news. Yeah. Look at that. Fuck Gregor. Like, whatever. Dude, angry blood ghost. I mean...
What became of me? I became Lavrenti Beria. Side by side with Sophia, you begin the march against the old ways, and the rebellious hordes followed you. No one remembered your old name any longer, but your new name instilled terror in every corner of the empire, the Butcher of Anizate. The cruelty with which you dispatched your enemies became the stuff of legend. Along the way, you faced many powerful foes and crushed them all, free from fear of death, unafraid of the twins' judgment. Again and again, you emerged from the flames to bring the common folk the freedom they so coveted, and they fought for you until they bled their last. You, the Butcher of Anizate, became a flame that incinerated the monstrous, decrepit husk of an empire until nothing remained. But it was not your fate to see whether or not a new world would rise from the ashes of the old. So ends the life and suffering of Paul Bronte.
What a game! What a game!
Well, we're not done yet. The hour of your death has come.
Yeah.
Your soul has left your body, never to return. You are taken to the peak of the shining pillar. Every moment separates you more and more from the mortal realm. The link that once bound you to it is gone forever. You look up to see two divine visages watching you intently. The elder twin gazes upon you, full of sorrow and compassion. The younger twin examines you dispassionately, seeing your every act and thought. You have ascended from the mortal realm. From here you are but one step away from partaking in eternal bliss atop the peak of the shining pillar. But first you must be judged by them, just as every other soul born in this world has been judged since time immemorial. Only their judgment can decide whether you deserve to remain atop the peak, be hurled down to the foot. You stand before the twins. Your very essence is laid bare before them, all the secrets of your inner self revealed in full. Your soul is like an open book to them, one that preserves the story of your entire life. You lie prostrate before the gods. The time has come to take responsibility for your mortal life. And the elder twins asks, are you thankful to the gods for the life you lived?
Oh, it's all yours. It's all yours. Paul.
I chose it. I'm going to be silent when I make these choices.
Okay, wonderful.
They hear your answer. Compassion and remorse fill the immeasurably deep eyes of the elder twin. He turns to face his divine brother, who returns his gaze with an expression of stern remorse. The elder twin asks once more, what was your life to you? The elder twin bows his head wearily, considering your response, but the stern vision of the younger already looms above you. Human by the name of Brante, what did you live for? I can't choose any of these because I don't think any of them are accurate.
Honestly, I'd say that we lived for John Milton. So we lived for other people in this case. And Sophia, because of course she's the love of my life. And the love of my life.
The younger's gaze lingers on your bare, defenseless soul. The divine figure continues its stern interrogation. What did you leave behind?
Oh, you know the answer to that one.
The younger twin now moves towards you with clear intent, poised to render his judgment. The elder twin restrains his brother with a gesture. A divine voice fills you once again. Did your life make the world we made better and more perfect?
Yeah.
The younger twin is silent, his eyes two swords piercing your soul. The elder twin speaks to you again, but you already know the question, the very same question that caused you so much suffering shortly before your true and final death. What determined your destiny?
Ooh. Are we going with the solemn providence? No.
Milton would... Yes.
What would Milton say? Yeah?
The soul of a man named Brante lies prostrate at your feet. You have witnessed his entire life, known his every act, seen his every thought and desire. No other soul could ever walk the same path. So many difficult choices, so many emotions, so much pain. Another soul awaits your judgment. You know no mercy, nor does your brother. Every mortal must walk the path chosen for him to the very end. Those who abide by the precepts set forth by you and your brother shall return to you and become a part of you. Those who reject you shall know the eternal suffering of oblivion. Where does the man named Paul Brante belong?
Well, oh, now look at that. Me and you were the twins. Oh, poetic. Pottery, as they say.
Bobby, I believe that the only way to end this is the way that our little John Milton facsimile deserves, and the most Calvinist way. He was created and guided. to be damned. The sword strikes, the blade
Let's go.
mercilessly slices the minuscule soul in twain, it shatters into a multitude of sparks. Each of these sparks was once a dream, a deed, a thought, a hope. The sparks fly down to the foot of the shining pillar, to the eternal darkness of non-being. The lonely light is slowly extinguished. The man named Paul Brante is no more. He has finally come to know true suffering. He has become nothing.
That's it.
That is it.
What a game. What a series. I shall download all of that, place it on Spotify. It's gonna be there so that it's
what a fucking ending, man. Like,
yeah. But it's cool how they like, I guess maybe this game is meant to be played as we are playing it. You know, it's like the twins. We're the twins, Paul.
Yeah, we are.
Well, this was the first time you've actually condemned anyone to the foot of the pillar.
I only did it because such was always going to be the outcome, Bobby.
Yeah, I guess.
All right.
Poor John Milton. You know, this is what happens when you write good poetry.
Evil be thou my good.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess we really did make the world a worse place. But there's one good thing, is that we survived till the very end. You know, we didn't just like die some stupid death halfway through.
If we had died for our family, I would have put him at the head of the pillar, because there is no greater act of love than to lay down your life for your friends. But no.
Yeah, but it was the butcher of Anazade.
This entire playthrough just felt like it was contrary to every fiber of my being. It felt as though I was making decisions the opposite way the whole time, or I was on a path I was not supposed to be on the whole time.
Well, you know, sometimes, you know, it's like art. If you have a picture or a piece of art that you dislike, maybe you should just stare at it for longer, and then maybe you'll begin to appreciate it. Same thing here. It's like, you don't know what you're capable of until you, like, you know, you LARP as it. Because if you know, like a lot of rituals in the past of like when kids become older and they like dress up as the hunter, and they have like these like demons around them, people dressing up, or like scouts. You know, when you're a scout, and I mean, you know this, like, you went out camping and you went out like doing little survivalist things, but it's not like you'll ever do that in like real life, you know, unless you're like Mad Max stuff.
Well, no, I like camping, and you know, I like the outdoors. I like, you know, every good American is a little bit of a naturalist.
But camping is the imitation of like post-apocalyptic future.
Well, it's I mean, I don't know if it's an imitation of post-apocalyptic future. That's a rather Nick Land to take. Thank you, dear player, for living through the life and suffering of Sir Brante in the times of the fall of the blessed Arcanian Empire. I'll tell you what, Bobby, that playthrough was fucking suffering.
Yeah, but it was great. Oh man, I loved it.
I'm gonna have to now delete it eternally.
Oh,
so I can never have any reference to it ever again. But now, Bobby, I have to make another playthrough on my own private time of the game as the right way to let it balance itself out. But
wait, you mean you're going to do like self-confession in that way?
Yes.
Oh man, what a wonderful person you are, Paul.
I don't know that, but
well, look at this. So now that we've gone through all of this,
yeah,
We've got. I think maybe we should spend like a week writing down like little notes on why this is not just like another Vidya, why this has like something deeper in it, and like what would men with chests say about this game, about this narrative, about this like book, and so on.
It
Like,
forces you to make
you know,
hard freaking choices, you know? And if
yeah,
you
but a lot
don't.
of choices
Mhm.
aren't really choices. A lot of choices aren't really choices. It just says like you gotta click this,
Well, same thing.
right?
Same thing with life, though. You know, if you make the easy choice early on, you can't make a hard choice later. If you make a hard choice early on, then you can make a hard choice later. You know.
Yeah. Well, and then after that, we're going to. This is a big project, but it's very fun. I want to do a playthrough of Suzerain, but not a normal playthrough of Suzerain. I want to have a guest for each episode, and I want to make it a policy wonk feature, where me and you, we're going to be like the angels and devils on the shoulder of the person that chooses. And I'll be the meaner one. I'll be more of a jester type character, and you'll be the more of a rational one. Uh, and it'll be like Suzerain Schizo playthrough, because the person will, he'll ask us for information. Maybe we'll even send a little, like, before each episode, we'll send a little write up of, like, well, this is what has happened. He hasn't watched it, but we'll provide everything. We'll provide all the info. We'll explain everything to the guest. And then the guest will choose how to go ahead in the story. And since each episode is going to have a new person, we're going to get like very, very interesting narratives. And I think it'll be very, very fun to like explain and how someone before you fucked up, or how you will do that. And, like information, true or false, we'll do all of that. But it's a big project, so we'll have to like invite people. We'll have to send in a lot of invitations, scheduling, all that stuff. But I think you'll enjoy that a lot. But yep. So we'll.
All right. Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have enjoyed the life and suffering of Sir Brante. I hope you join us.
I hope you've suffered
Yeah.
and life through it with us.
I sure have. Man, this was something. And so yeah, I'm gonna reflect upon this. But thank you very much, Bobby. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for the couple of guests we had. And I will see you all very soon.
Yeah, see ya. Bye.